It's time to do some drifting, and we've got a brand new MST drifter that we're going to be slowly upgrading as part of the build series to become the most comfortable and consistent drifter we can make. But can you do that with a ready-to-run drifter? Well, I think we can. So welcome to part 1, and let's do it. Now, we've made a lot of videos on this channel, but I don't think we've ever made any specific drift videos. So this should be pretty cool, and we're starting out with an MST RMX 2.0. It's a ready-to-run 10-scale rear-wheel drive drifter that includes all the electronics, including the gyro, and it has brushless motor and speed control power. And it's all ready to go, minus AA batteries for the transmitter, and then you need a 2S or 3S shorty or stick pack battery. Now, the cool thing about this platform is you can get this chassis with probably a dozen different scale realistic bodies on them. This one is called the LBMT, I believe. It's kind of like a Ford Mustang with a wide body kit, and it's a pretty good looking car. Now, we've never driven this car, but it has some work done to it. It's never been driven, but we assembled the body. You have to put the light buckets in, the rear wing, and a few other items like the side mirrors. And we did all that to take some photos of it, but other than that, this is a completely stock car. As it sits, the car is pretty much ready to go. We put AA's in the transmitter, and we just need a battery for the car, and we bought a couple to try out. Now, ProTech just came out with their new packs, and we bought the shorty. It's the 6100 milliamp hour 2S, and then this is the low center of gravity shorty, which is quite a bit lighter, and it's a 4600 milliamp hour 2-cell. Now, the differences between having a heavy and a light battery is just to tune your center of gravity, and it's a tuning aid depending on your traction levels. So that's something we're gonna test and experiment with. Tires are also something we're gonna be experimenting with, but we're not quite there yet. We don't have any tires. It would be cool to test these stock tires though on different surfaces and see where they work best. Now, I should come clean and say right now that I don't really know a whole lot about drifters. I mean, I'm a pretty good driver, but setting up drift cars, the approach and strategy behind it, there's a lot to learn. I do have some experience with the drifters. This is my personal drift car. It's an MST FXXD, and I don't like it at all. I stopped using it after a week or two. Couldn't get the hang of it. It didn't hook up really well for me on the carpet surface I was using, and I haven't used it in years. Do you even drift, bro? Now, that old chassis has since been discontinued. I just hang on to the car because I like the body. That's why I bought it, honestly. But the RMX 2.0 platform is supposed to be a lot more promising. All right, I think that's about it. Let's just grab a battery, put it on the ground, check our steering trims, see how it goes. All right, everything seems good. We're gonna put down a cone and do some donuts just to warm up a little. Hey, feels all right. We'll try the other direction. A little bit more challenging, but I think it's the driver. The car feels pretty dang good. That's right out of the box. Those are the stock tires, and they're hooking up pretty good on our carpet, which is like a low profile, low slung industrial carpet. Car seems just a little fast, maybe, a little too much grip, but we're gonna go try out some other surfaces to see how well those box stock tires work. Can you see me? That was on the tile in the front lobby here at AMain, and the tires don't have that much grip on the tile at all, and probably need some sort of softer compound. We're in the warehouse at AMain, and this is a concrete slab out here, so this is really close to what would be in most garages. So let's see how well the tires work. This concrete's pretty dang slick, and those stock tires hook up even less on this concrete versus that tile. So that was the last surface test for these tires. This is the parking lot of AMain Hobbies. It's a sealed pavement surface, and the tires worked pretty well, actually. It was probably the second best surface behind the carpet. We found out that the stock tires that come with the vehicle are the gold compound. They're the part number 101025, and they're on the harder side of the compound spectrum. Now we plan on driving on carpet. Our retail store has a drift track inside. It's a carpet track. That's probably where we'll do most of the driving, and our car really deserves carpet-specific tires, and we are gonna get them, just not yet. For now, we know the car works pretty dang good on carpet, and it's very manageable, or you can get that rear end way out there sideways without it kind of getting away from you, and you can bring it back. On those really slick surfaces, you can't do that. That rear end just has a mind of its own. So, for what we're gonna do right now, I'm really curious to see what the differences are in the weights of the batteries and how they affect the driving characteristics, and mainly that rear end swinging around. We're gonna do it on carpet with the car completely stock and just see how it affects the car. Now the weights on these batteries are 311 grams for the full-size stick pack. The standard shorty is 211 grams. And then the thin, low CG shorty is 165 grams, or about 46 grams lighter than that standard shorty. So we've got a 100-gram difference between these two, and then a 50-gram difference between these, which traditionally, when you start adding weight to an RC car, it's going to add traction. So in areas where the vehicle is slipping too much, we might be able to get it to hook up better with a bigger, heavier battery, where if the car is hooking up a little too much on some surfaces, like we're getting too much traction on the carpet, we should be able to go to a thinner battery, reset our ride height, and have some slight advantage. But let's find out. Okay, this is with the long stick pack. Now what we found out is that with that heavier stick pack is that it is easier to initiate a slide with it, but that rear end just kind of gets away from you much easier. It reminds me of the back car of a roller coaster, where you're just being tossed around a lot. I wrote that it didn't feel like I was actually controlling the slide, I was only trying to rein it in. And that's what that heavier battery really did feel like. This is the standard shorty battery. With the regular shorter battery, the car still slides pretty well. It has much less roller coaster effect, and that rear end feels more manageable. With the downside is that the rear end still does loop around if the car is going too fast, mile an hour wise, and that's a symptom of having the wrong tires for our surface too. This is the LCG shorty. Now with that LCG battery, I wrote that it felt the best, and the sliding felt more on my terms, where I was initiating the slide and pulling out of it. The only con that we had with that LCG is that the rear end would still loop around on you if you were going too fast, just like with the shorty battery. So it'll be interesting to see what having the proper tires do to fix that. But really interesting that the batteries make that big of a difference from an unmanageable to a manageable state. Now all surfaces are different and your results may vary, but as a basic tuning aid, testing different batteries gained us some valuable information, and we're more prepared moving forward. Currently, the car is tons of fun, and it's very manageable in its stock form using that lightweight LCG battery, and you can see that it scoots around pretty good using it. We will keep the regular shorty as a tuning aid because that extra weight may be useful on other surfaces. Until then, our package has finally arrived, and we have two brand new sets of MST tires to experiment with. We have the 30s, which are carpet specific, and the 27s, the super hards. So stay tuned for that in part 2 of our drifter build series. And in the meantime, check out these RC videos.